Calm, focus, happiness. I'm here today with Tom Campbell. He is the author, as you probably know, of the My Big Toe series. Tom, are you in mindfulness mode today?
Yes, I am. I pretty much live there, Bruce. That's mindfulness isn't a thing you do, it's a thing you become.
And I know you live there because of reading and listening to you on videos and just learning so much about you. And I felt a little silly asking that question, but I always ask my guests that question. But what does mindfulness mean to you? And I know that this is a silly question, but just to start off with a little a short answer to what mindfulness means to you, then we'll get into a lot more detail about consciousness and mindfulness. It's great to have you with us. Great to have you here, Tom.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate the invitation. Mindfulness, of course, is not a real precise term. So there's probably at least 4 or 5, 6 ways to look at it. And when you look at it in each of those different ways, you'll get a little better. If you look at it in all the ways, you'll get a little better idea of just what mindfulness is. So let me kind of state it and then restate it in multiple ways. Being mindful means that you have some discipline with your consciousness. An undisciplined consciousness is kind of zinging off on all sorts of thoughts and places and things. And to be mindful, it requires you to have some discipline. So mindfulness takes a little work. It's not something that's just a trivial, thing to do. It takes work for people to develop those skills. Mindfulness is about whatever it is you're doing it purposefully. You're aware that you're doing it, and you're doing it, for a reason. And you're aware of that reason, which means it's the opposite of being on automatic. It's the opposite of being a zombie. It's the opposite of just kind of drifting through life, turning the crank that you always turn. And you're so habituated to that crank that you just never think about really much of anything. You just you just repeat every day, sort of like it was the last day. You get up, you go to work, you push buttons and do, work your mouse at work, and you come home and you eat dinner and you watch TV, and it's that sort of thing. So that's not mindful. That's just letting your life run on automatic. Mindfulness is kind of the first step in getting to know who you are, getting to know your own consciousness. Until you're mindful, you don't really know who you are. You make choices, but most of those choices tend to be made because of your fear, because of your ego, because of your expectations, because of what you see as duty or requirements or whatever. They're not really thought about. They're not really owned by you. They're just things you do, you see. So when you are mindful, you have to be aware of why you're doing what you're doing. Why are you thinking what you're thinking? You have to be, mindful. I guess that's really what mindful means. Your mind is not drifting. So if you have a lot of ego and have a lot of fear and beliefs, then your mind tends to run around a lot more. It tends to do less thinking. It tends to be less aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, because you're just playing out little scenarios that you've learned. Oh, you have this fear, so when this happens, you shy away, or you get belligerent, or you get angry. And it's not so much that you're really aware of what you're doing, you're just doing it out of habit. And you don't really own yourself. Not in the sense that you really know who you are and why you make the choices you make. You just make them because that's what pops up. That's the automatic response. So mindfulness is awareness. It's awareness of self and awareness of why. And awareness of what too, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and the purpose and the point, and how does it fit into everything else? And, because you are not on an island by yourself, you are interactive with lots and lots of other people and things. You have responsibilities, and being aware of all those linkages and all of those connections and how what you do affects other people. That's being mindful. So you're aware of others. It's not just you off on your own little island doing the things you do, but why am I doing this? And the answer to why is often because of some interaction, some connection with other people. And that connection should be fully in your mind as you're doing whatever you're doing. So that's the point of being mindful. What did Ram Dass say? Be here now, right? That was the title of one of his books, I believe. And that's basically another way of stating mindfulness, be here now.